Hello, everybody. Welcome back to SketchCraft Live. I'm Rob Duenas. Joining in tonight with me is Brandon Mega Potato James. Brandon, say hello.
Woo woo!
Alrighty. So basically, we're going to do audio commentary for the Hulk Saucy I did. It's in the Sketches at Breakfast playlist on the channel if you want to see it in real time. It's like in two parts. When I was recording this, I was in the middle of my frighteningly terrible, fucking disastrous audio slash router slash hell on earth issues. So, I was trying to paint to relieve stress. I painted this Hulk, and in between that, hell unleashed. So, um,
Also, for those that are first viewing this, you want to explain the term saucy?
I'm gonna get to all that, Brandon.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna get to all that.
Okay.
Okay, so if you don't know what saucy is, it's basically watercolor. I just happen to apply it in a way that I call it saucy because it sounds cool. Um, let's go ahead and move to the video. Are you queued up?
I'm ready.
Don't hit it yet. So you know what I did is I did a pencil sketch first that I drew for fun, and then I scanned it in and actually printed it out onto Kansan mixed media paper. It's under Kansan XL, but this is 9 by 12 mixed media paper at about 80% opacity on the fast printer settings. So you can kind of still see the pencil underneath. I found that it won't bleed much though, even when you apply the watercolor on top, because the paper's 300 GSM or something, so it's pretty durable paper. It's not like watercolor paper where it'll just bleed right the fuck off. When the paint dries on here, folks, it don't reactivate. So that's basically what I've done, and now I'm just going to go in and just make up some paints. No lighting, no nothing. This is typically what I would do at a con, minus the pencil details and stuff, but that's basically what this is. So let me hit play. Here we go. So now I'm going to ink it. Now, this time, I normally ink these in waterproof India ink, but this time I wanted to ink it with Copic multi-liner pens, which are also waterproof, just to see what the black comic book lines like. If you look over here, this is a sketch cover that you gave me back at the last con, Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is some different tests I've done with different markers, and you can see that's the Copic chisel tip right there I was telling you about. So I have a couple different looks I like with the inks here. And I thought I might try to apply that same look here with the watercolor, see how it turns out. I've come to settle on using the sepia toned ink first, and then I'll add black after the paint's dried, based on my work here. But the results came out fine. It's just I prefer being able to control. So when I use the red ink before I paint over it, it makes it so that the inks blend in with the colors a little easier, and then
Uh-huh.
I can pop out the shapes using black. Here, all the lines are going to be black, and then it can be it works fine for the Hulk. But if this were a female character, or let's say even Spider-Man, you don't want all of Spider-Man's definition popping right out. You know what I
Right.
mean? When the suit's red, you want some of those colors to fall into red. And it's probably just
It,
also because I lean on the animation side of things. What are you saying?
I was gonna say, yeah, with a guy who's more muscular, or shirtless, or like a Thor or a Hulk or a Bane or something, characters, it works because it's more aggressive, the dark colors, and it's, I don't know, just looks better, I think, with muscular type people than, like you were saying, the girls or a skinny silhouette guy.
Someone on Instagram asked me too, why is his hand so large? And I'm like, why does that bother you so much? And he's like, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. I'm like, I don't know, man. I just drew some shit, dude. Like, folks, when you just start drawing, I don't, when I drew him, I had no plan. I just made it up.
Well, what needs to be accurate about a person who is a giant green monster, you know?
Yeah, you know. He
Why
had
is
a
there new
giant,
guys?
he had a giant brow. Remember the McFarlane
Yeah,
with the giant head thing and the uh, the whisker broom hair. So,
yeah.
so I used to use giant thick outlines over all my art back, say, circa 2006, and then I've, I've flipped back and forth on that issue, mostly for time.
Is
You
it kind
know,
of an anime look
I
or?
don't fucking know, man. I don't know. It's probably because I grew up in the 90s and Joe Matt used to do that shit, right?
Right.
I don't really keep a bunch of old Battle Chasers comics open when I'm working. I'm just guessing. It's definitely a graphical, style. Um, I'm always afraid of the art being too heavy, though. You ever seen that? Like, there's this recent Star Wars comic that came out with C-3PO, and the guy did those heavy tattoo inks in the whole issue, and it doesn't look like a comic book. It looks like a giant Hydro 74 Illustrator piece of. You know what I'm talking about, Brandon? You have any idea? Hydro
I
74?
can assume that it just looks bogged down with too much
Weight.
dark
It's
thick
too
lines.
weighted. Yeah, too
Yeah.
weighted. So I'm afraid of that at all times. And so I think here the inks look fine. The final result with the color, I don't know. I'm still working out the. This is what sketches at breakfast are for. They're for me to kind of experiment, as well as warm up for this Comic Con we're going to, the Amazing Vegas Con.
Hmm.
So now the colors, the watercolors I'll be using are Dr. P.H. Martin's Hydro whatever colors, and some distress inks, which are just liquid watercolors. Tim Holtz. So this is sap green, and I'll end up mixing this with 1A, which is a yellow, to give it super limey colors. And I'll just paint. I'm painting with a number 6 round brush right there. Number 4 is 6. Which one is it? Let me get to the actual. I can't find the brush. I don't know. Oh, here it is. It's a number 6. It's number 6. So I'm just trying to lay the color down where the shade normally would be. And I'll be honest, probably at a con that'd be good enough for most people, but I don't know. I'm still working that out. Like when do I go too far? Yeah. But with the saucy look, I do like it, the layered effect. I think that basic idea is like if this were like a toy and you kind of poured water over it, it's kind of the
Hmm.
idea. But
Yeah, you want the colors to follow the muscle definition and
he has
the
the Tom
curves.
Hulk has the Tom Cruise hair here. Nice hairdo. I
What's with the hair?
fluctuate.
What's with the hair, Rob?
I fluctuate between Hulk having stylish hair and hulky hair. I think one thing I'm gonna do is go back to here. I'll add a background on him. But remember how I did the Mass Effect where the kind of the back just kind of turns to
Yeah,
splatter? I'm gonna go back to that. I like the way that looked.
almost like they're exploding into the paper.
Yeah, I forgot about that until you mentioned it the other night. I'm like, oh yeah, I did that. Oh shit, that looked
Right.
cool. I'll go back to
If you would have left
that.
the
Well, it
shoulders.
doesn't work for every character. Like, this is where I just split the video up into. So now I went and did a bunch of fucking crazy technical work. And now it's moved over to the left a little bit, but that's, I don't know, man. I'm not in the best space here mentally. Like, if you want to know, this is me painting under duress, like trying to just relax. But I'll let you know that that green is the same green, sap green, but I've mixed it with turquoise blue. So it gives it a bluer, cooler green color. So I'm using that middle green mixed with yellow to give me a brighter green, and then I mix a little blue in to give me a darker green. So the greens are tied together, essentially. I try not to do too much drippings on the face. Gotta be careful if you put too much on the face in
Looks
terms
like they're
of,
melting.
or they've been hitting the head with a rock heavily. Yeah, like someone just they did the
Right.
was that a Lord of the Rings movie? They crushed their head with a rock or something. Something one of those fucking things. Like
Nah.
Game of Thrones or something.
Probably something I don't watch.
And when I do the con, these are like my con style. So this is where I give myself 2 hours, to kind of produce these. And I'll paint mostly with the larger brushes.
Was that like a 2 or like a
That
4?
right there is a 2
Okay.
towards the face, but the rest of the body I'm doing it with a 6 or a 4. I try to keep the larger brushes because you get those big splats and those imperfections. Let the happy mistakes they call that. Let the
The
let
Bob
the
Ross
water
stuff.
let the watercolor do the cool stuff for you. You know, like, let it just go there. Little happy drips, little happy drips.
Right. I think too when people are working with watercolors, just remember go lighter first and then darker. I
Yeah,
know
it's
a
a
lot of people.
transparent medium.
Yeah, make sure you water it down and you take your time, do a couple layers and not rush it and just like go super dark.
It
And
doesn't
then
need 6 layers too. Literally,
right.
only go 2 or 3 layers, and then that's it. Like,
Yeah.
let it go.
I remember I made the mistake once in a while to start too dark and then I'd go too light and then it just muddied it up. So, you practice to find a good balance of just one or two pass.
Plus, this is like I said, this is my convention style. So, there's only so much I can do. And it's So I tend to lean a little bit more on the fatter drips and what splats right at the end. And there, see, as it's wet, I'm just giving myself some extra drips. Look at that, right over the curvature of the drawing. Yeah. Just so that, if you got that at a con, you could walk away and go, oh, that's pretty cool, How many people are
Right.
doing that at con? You know? Not as much. Not as much. And there I'm just sort of dabbing the wet spots because when I'm at con, I don't have time for it to dry.
Right.
So I try to work under the same circumstances. I also keep the same song playing in my head the whole time, which is, yeah, it's true. It's Michael Jackson's Dangerous. For 6 years now, it's the only song I listen to when I'm doing Saucies.
Wouldn't
So
be
when I'm
my
at
first choice, but all right.
when I'm at con, that's what I'm listening to the entire time.
I'm glad we don't share headphones.
Right, you wouldn't like my choice of music, but it has the right tempo in terms of just keeping myself. I drove all the way from Phoenix Con back home 6 hours on one song.
The one we rode to the con listening to
Yeah,
on loop for
yeah.
30 minutes.
Well, I do it for 6 hours.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I'm. You don't want to. I get very focused.
So right here, you're just popping out the edges, right?
Yeah, and I don't know if I would do that now on the backside, but I just wanted to see what it would look like.
Right.
No one's complained, but you know, some of these I use, and that's it. White highlights. I use the Winsor Newton white calligraphy ink.
Uh-huh. Because it doesn't brown, right?
Yeah, I've mixed. Let me just hit pause there. Come back to the real time cam, and we could talk a little bit about this. Oh no 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 no! Oh shucks. Okay, I gotta let that play for a second. Hold on one second. Don't talk yet, Brandon. I gotta kill the mic. If I hit the wrong button, it just plays the music straight through. I can't stop it. All right, there we go. So, um, basically, I'm trying to make sure I wrap this up properly. At the very end, I use white calligraphy ink. It's this Winsor Newton's calligraphy ink. Now, I can tell you this stuff right here can get a little too transparent. So I've moved over recently to this Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof. This stuff is awesome, but it's thicker than marshmallow cream. So like what I tend to do is take the brush, wet it, and then kind of pull some out and on the edge kind of loosen it up with the water so it can flow easier, but it's super opaque. Like one shot, it's super white. Like I painted over whole areas of black ink with this stuff, and it stays white. Whereas with the white calligraphy ink, you might have to apply two, sometimes three layers of it to get it super opaque. So, and it doesn't seem to dry out nearly as fast as the other stuff. Brandon, you have any questions about the Saucy process or anything you want to add that we haven't touched upon?
No, I just think it's, well, I'd say for anybody who are doing their warm-up sketches, warm-up painting and such, just don't don't be hard on yourself and think, oh, this should have been perfect. Just kind of flow with it. It's meant to, I'd say, just loosen up, just kind of get going until you get the right idea where you're going with it. And so I know a lot of people will get frustrated that if they don't paint it right or it comes out bad. It's just these are just warm-ups. They're not meant to be the final ultimate piece that you're trying to sell to a magazine. So,
Plus, I mean, look, I'm trying to recreate what I would do at a Comic Con, and I really get this bad impression, man. Now at cons, artists feel like they're in a position that they have to create something that's going to give you a comic rating of a 9.5, and they're going to, like,
all right.
I see these people create these giant works of art at con, and I'm not saying just get it drawn and get people their money, but there's an expectation that I'm not going to create the art I create in my studio at Comic Con for a multitude of reasons. Time being just the first factor.
Right.
Whether it's the lighting, the having to talk to people, the fact that I got,
No one does their best work under gunpoint, no matter what movies show you.
no matter what movie show you. And I do feel like there's a lot of unfair pressure for artists to create these giant works of art, especially the younger artists. So.
Right.
Anyhow, hey, Sketch Draw, thanks for hanging out, man. Really appreciate it. I'd like to say, too, the Saucy process is something I'm discovering to this day. I started it 4 or 5 years ago. I still haven't gotten there. I get there in spurts, like parts of it. I'm like, oh, that one was kind of cool. That one's kind of cool. I'm not there yet. Like, it's going to take another 5, 6, 10 years maybe to really be like, oh, that's it, you know. Then maybe I'll give it up. But I wasn't trained how to use paint. I just picked it up one day back in 2011 because I was tired of doing everything digitally, and I always
And
wanted to paint. Hmm?
I was just gonna say, I also dabbled in the paint.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. Anyways, Brandon, where can people find you on the internet?
Oh, you can find my self-loathing self on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Lead Heavy. That's Lead Heavy.
Yeah, or hashtag Mega Potato, always on the Twitter. And then, as always, links are below. Feel free to say hi. If you have any comments or questions, just leave them as well. I answer everything. Feel free to ask anything you want. There's no bad questions. I might give you a snarky answer, but I mean well. So we'll all see you later on the next time on SketchCraft Live. I'll be back on pretty shortly. Bye.
Bye.
Now the music can play correctly. I gotta work this out.